Hello and welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live, brought to you by NordVPN. My name is Daniel Cobb. Delighted tonight to be joined by Record Sports Keith Jackson and Michael Gannon. Guys, how's it going?
How's it going? I tell you how it's going. What have we got left of this transfer window? Just under 3 weeks.
Yep.
I just want to click my heels and get to 3 weeks' time because honestly, I've never quite known it just to be just as frantic as what it seems to be becoming. Particularly the Rangers end, which we'll talk about, Dan, but there's a mild feeling of panic breaking out in terms of Rangers, and I think a sudden realisation that, you know, all the areas of the squad that Derek McInnes probably told them required to be strengthened 7 weeks ago haven't been strengthened. And obviously they've had a hammer blow today with the news that Youseff Chermiti has injured ACL, will need surgery. My information is he won't kick a ball this season. You might be is similar to perhaps the sort of length of layoff that Jota had at Celtic. If he's back for the start of next season, he'll be doing well. So at a time when Galatasaray were thought to be at the table offering all sorts for Chermiti, for that to happen just adds another layer of chaos to the recruitment picture at Ibrox. As I said, I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now, Dan. If you're Derek McInnes, I don't think you can be comfortable or anywhere remotely close to comfortable with the squad and the cards that you've been dealt at this point. Rangers are really going to have to get their act together, and they've only got a couple of weeks to do it. And even today, at one point, and I still think Rangers are confident. Certainly, the word in Greece was that James Penrice could be on a plane today to come to Glasgow. Then later in the day, that suggestion seems to be going a little bit cold, and then the next thing you know, they're linked with a possible attempt to get Jayden Magoma back in loan. None of these things seem particularly ideal. You know, if Rangers are trying to upgrade what they had last season, you know, I don't know what the Rangers fans out there think, but Jayden Magoma was understudy to Tour Romans, and Ross McCrory is now playing right back instead of James Tavernier. These are not upgrades. So I feel a bit for Derek McInnes. I feel he's going to complete his 10th signing over tonight, tomorrow, with a winger from PSV, Droik, and that looks like a good bit of business in the face of it. That'll take his tally up, or the total amount of players signed over the course of the summer window, up to 10. I'm not entirely sure how many of them would be Derek McInnes' choices, and how many of them were already in the pipeline before he arrived. But what I do know is he desperately needs more quality, and he desperately needs it before this window shuts at the start of September.
Are you enjoying the transfer window as much, Mike?
Well, listen, never mind transfer deadline day. Today's a very, very special day. It's the last day of the school holidays. The wee bar is back tomorrow. So having been to Troon and Prestwick and Largs and climbing places and Beverley Park in Glasgow and holiday, you name it, it's finally over. I've got the yellow tie coming out for the last day of the school holidays, and the ticker on the bottom.
And who was babysitting? Who was babysitting the wee man when you went to all these places?
Listen, me and my wee girl, we had a lot of fun, must admit. We had some good fun, but it's time to go back. Off you pop. Off you go. So that's the eve of the big day. But the transfer window, it's a weird one. I mean, you think the clubs would want to avoid the stress, but unfortunately, the way that the makeup of the window and the makeup of the leagues across Europe, the staggered returns, inevitably the teams have to wait. In Scotland, particularly, need to wait a bit of time for a certain level of quality to come available, which means it's stressful. We're seeing it at Celtic as well, having to be very, very patient. Rangers have been different. Rangers have piled in and got the kind of... I'm not being disrespectful. The squad fillers first. The guys who maybe, like I was just saying, maybe aren't going to be, or they wouldn't want to be the first choices, but had to be filled. And now they need to go and find the main men. And they're still, I think, they're still 4 short of first team starters already. Yeah. And they're finding that maybe it's not that they ones aren't that easy to get. Celtic are perhaps the other way around. They've got shot all the squad of dross, and they want the big signings, and they've had to wait for them. They've got 2 in the door that look pretty decent. Another couple on the way, probably. If they can be at a similar level, they might be more content. So having a fortnight ago, you'd have probably said, "Oh, Rangers have the better window here. They've got 7 or 8 guys in early. They're building. They're ahead of the game. Celtic are miles behind." All of a sudden, you think, "Well, maybe that's not quite. That picture isn't quite as clear as it was a fortnight ago. That Celtic are perhaps a different strategy." And I think Celtic are still taking a big risk in terms of Champions League because they want these guys in the door so they're ready to go hit the ground running for next week. They're not going to be now at best. They might get a tickle against United in the Cup on Saturday, then going straight into a Champions League qualifier. I don't think that's ideal. I think they're taking a big risk, but it's just the way it's worked out in the window. And now it's hair on fire, all panic, all hands to the pump, everyone running around crazy trying to get what they can. So it's going to be fun for the next fortnight.
It certainly will.
We'll come back to it, Mick, but just for a couple of updates right at the top. I mean, I'm really surprised that Hassim, given what you said, because I think you're absolutely spot on. I'm really surprised that Hassim Hassan and Mika Bauer aren't done and dusted and in Lennoxtown and helping provide some options to Martin O'Neill. I'm struggling with understanding why these deals are taking as long as they're taking. We're talking about 3, 4, 5. It feels like 4 or 5 weeks ago that this sort of stuff started to come to fruition. And for me, these are deals just got to go and get done.
I agree to an extent. I mean, the ones like Hassan, I think Real Ovidio would probably thought that the kind of the heat around them after the World Cup meant they might have got, I think they had a €60 million buyout clause at one point, and they wanted to get that. And I think they were trying to sit tight and hoping that would come, and it hasn't really come. And it now looks like Celtic are going to get them for a real knockdown fee. I mean, I'm hearing it's kind of under £6 million. Don't get me wrong, I think it's a big Champions League kickback if they get through at the qualifier. I think another £2 or £3 million on top of it again. So it is up to about £8 or £9 million, which is no small change, but it's not £16 million, which they might have thought. They might have thought that the World Cup tax was going to get them through, but it's not quite come in for them. So perhaps on that one, Celtic's patience might be about to pay off. That's the one they've wanted for a while. The Bauer one, I think, is also linked to Arne Engels as well. But listen, isn't the fact that Paderborn think they can get a whack of money for him as well, and they're trying to sit tight. Listen, as Celtic are doing with Arne Engels, so Celtic are sitting tight with Arne Engels because they want to get 25 million. West Ham are not at that figure yet, so it's not happened. Likewise with Arthur Johnson, they're getting the same treatment with Paderborn for a Bauer, and at one point with Hassan until they get forced through. So it's tricky. I think to get those kind of players who are in demand, it's no easy. I think you can mop up some of the guys that aren't in demand fairly easily, but I think to get the ones that are slightly more higher up on the wish list, I think it is trickier. So listen, I'm not making excuses for anyone. I think if you want somebody, you go and get them.
Well, exactly, and they did that with Kasper. Yeah. They had to pay a premium. They got it done. They got him in. He's up and running. He's started the season. He's got his first hat trick in about. That's exactly what Martin O'Neill's requiring going into these Champions League qualifiers. As you said, it's far from ideal to pitch a couple of guys in, hopefully, get 45 minutes or an hour or something at the weekend and then go straight into a Champions League qualifier, if they even get that. So, I just think there's been a bit of a lack of urgency. I get it. It's a World Cup summer and everybody says that and it makes it more complicated, and yes, to an extent, I believe in it. But I honestly think that both Rangers and Celtic's recruitment department has slept in this season. They should both have been more active, more urgently. Yeah,
listen, and Celtic, I think Celtic fans this week are skipping about because there was a big win at the weekend. They've got a new signing who looks as though he's going to be the business. Rangers get beat and all that stuff. So they've had a perfect weekend and they're all happy. However, if Celtic trip up and don't make this Champions League, you're going to. And what happens if Arthur Johnson isn't fit for the weekend or beyond, or decides he wants to leave, or the big bid comes in for Engels? I mean, it's a precarious position for Celtic. So if they don't get through the qualifier, people will say, okay, their starting 11 as of today looks strong enough. If you add Hassan to that looks a pretty decent starting 11 that should get through that tie next week. If they lose Engels and Johnson, or there's an injury to somebody else, the goalkeeper gets injured, for example, or if Kieran Tierney gets injured, all of a sudden Celtic get into that playoff very, very, very vulnerable. And people will remember that the gaps in the squad that everyone warned them about hadn't been filled. And now it's not going to be filled now because the game is now a week away. So it's too late now. I say if Hassan can come in and get a bit of game time at the weekend, he could be a man that can make a difference. But it's a very precarious position they're in. And they better hope that the gamble pays off for them, because if it don't, the same old moans will come back quite quickly.
We've got tons of comments coming in, a plethora of them, guys. Before I get really stuck in, though, I wanted to start with this, Keith. McKenna says, there was interest in Gineitis, so we didn't play him. Rangers should have done the same. Marzuno says, if you believe 22 million was on the table for Chermiti, why did Rangers put the winning lottery ticket in the washing machine? Should Chermiti have been playing at the weekend?
Personally, if it was me, I'm not sure that I would have exposed him to that level of risk when you're talking about that kind of money. Now, there's again sort of confused picture around it, because Derek McInnes, he's not the guy doing the negotiations, but he did get asked the question before the game, and he said, "Yeah, we've knocked back a bid, and I'm really pleased by that. And it allows me to play him and whatever else." I think that by the sounds of what Derek McInnes was, he's quite happy for Youseff Chermiti to stay for the long haul. But be that as it may, he was asked a question about a bid. He said he confirmed that the bid had been made and rejected. And then you fast forward to the meeting with shareholders, fans yesterday in Parag Marathi. He seemed to be suggesting, it wasn't just as cut and dried as all that. You need to remember where it's... As if he was trying to pour a little bit of water on the whole suggestion that the bid was even real and solid and on the table. Whereas Derek McInnes seems to have been told something else entirely. So, again, it smacks of a picture of confusion behind the scenes at Rangers. Look, it's so early in the summer. They've still got 3 weeks left to get it in order. But you kind of wonder, in that 3 week period, they've got a lot of football to play. And I don't think the first 11 is anywhere near strong enough. So as much as Derek McInnes has been left spinning plates here, he also knows that he's going to have to try and win games, because if he can't get them up and running and posting wins on the pitch, the situation's only going to become even more volatile around Rangers. So these are really intense times.
We've got plenty of comments in Celtic, but let me just flag through a couple of Rangers ones. Rangers Easy OK says, only Rangers would replace Tur Romans with Jade Magoma when Romans was bought to replace Magoma. What a club. Honestly, the recruitment team needs banned. Alex says, in American sport, the general manager, the main player and recruit. McInnes has been treated as nothing more than a coach. It doesn't work in the UK. CDS Rangers says, panic station. Magoma should not be an option unless it's a ruse to get Penrice. And I've got a good few on Celtic, but I'll let you have at them.
Yeah, well, look, I heard earlier on today, as I said earlier, that I believe that there was an expectation that James Penrice would be catching a plane today at some point to come to Glasgow. And that was certainly what sources were telling us in Athens. And I think probably some people in the Rangers were thinking it was getting very close. As I said to you, there was then some sort of conflicting information this afternoon, not that long ago, suggesting that, again, there had been some sort of breakdown in that deal. Now, again, this is a deal which Rangers have been negotiating for some time. I think there was an expectation that Penrice would be in Scotland last week. And for whatever reason, there was a stalling and it didn't happen. And that's really frustrating. There is this rumour floating around, which as yet is unconfirmed, about Tur Romans and the possibility that he could be looking at a stretch on the sidelines as well. Which, unless I'm very much mistaken, unless I'm forgetting somebody, I don't think Rangers have got a single left-footed defender left in that squad, which is a staggering state of affairs. And it means that Derek McInnes will need to find a way and patch up a back four for a Europa League qualifier tomorrow night that Rangers need to win to turn around to stay in contention for Europe's second level competition. It's really frantic stuff at this moment in time, and you get that feeling that behind the scenes there is a little bit of chaos.
See, since last summer, Rangers have signed 28 players, and I watched them the weekend. They don't feel any different to me.
Do you know what? I'd actually written that down in my notes. I think I'd 27. You can count better than me, probably. I'm not very good at maths.
Believe me.
But I mean, that is an incredible amount of players that have been signed in 2 summers, and the promise is for what 3 to 5 more. So you're talking about 33 players across two summers. I mean, that's wild. I mean, and hand on heart, with Rangers fans, how many of them would say, how many of them they actually think are actually half decent right now? I mean, the recent ones coming in the door, they need time to kind of to get settle and find their feet. But that's a heck of a lot of players and a lot of money as well out the door. You need these guys to perform. I mean, if you're looking at 35 players in 2 windows and not getting some level of success this season, I mean, that doesn't be a thing about for the Rangers fans and board for have another botched summer after last year. So it is crunch time. I mean, I've not been convinced with the recruitment this summer from Rangers, I must admit. But like I say, a lot of these guys are the kind of squad filler kind of signings that aren't perhaps the most sexy. But I didn't think there was anything in those signings that suggested that the team was getting massively upgraded. And I'm still not convinced that's the case yet. As I say, it might be that they're waiting for the big hitting signings to come in now. But are they going to spend another 20 million quid in the next 2 weeks? Having spent, about 22 million already? So that's another 40 million quid on top of last year's 40 odd. I mean, it's not a bottomless pit they've got. I mean, they need to sell some of these guys. They need to sell Raskin and try and get 20 million quid for him. I mean, if that bid had come in, if the old days of fax came through with that number on it for Chermiti on Friday, he'd been wrapped in cotton wool and boxed and sent straight to Turkey. I don't have any doubt about it. I mean, I think that he's a player that's got some potential, but he's too flaky and you can't rely on him. I mean, if he's in front of 8 yards from goal and the ball drops to him, you're not putting the house on him. You're just not.
I think, Mick, to be honest with you, I think this is why there is such a necessity to make such wide changes across the squad for Rangers. Is that Chermiti kind of that lacklustre streak that he's got about him? He's not crisp. He's not. He's got a tendency, I think, to be casual when his full attention is required, and I think that is the case right across the board with that Rangers squad. You look at Fernandes is the same at the back, dreadfully casual. He's got all the tools. Chermiti's got all the tools, but how often have they actually produced? So if you can get bids like that for guys like that, I think the absolute correct thing to do is move them on and try and build something else. And it feels to me as if it's almost blank canvas time for Derek McInnes. But he can only paint on a blank canvas if he's given the brushes and the paint pots. And right now he doesn't have them either. So it's a really high pressure situation, and Rangers are going to have to work really hard, and Derek McInnes is going to have to work really hard to try and get a winning formula while he's still awaiting, the tools that he's going to require in order to put down a proper challenge. If that's going to be possible this season.
Rangers with Hero K on it says, we're the only team in the world that gets a billionaire takeover and it gets worse. Yeah, that's team would cuff this, sorry a lot.
Well, actually, this is what I'm saying, Dan. I'm saying it to all summer to a few pals of mine who have are kind of losing a bit of patience with the Rangers takeover guys. I mean, we were sitting last summer, and I think it was slightly tongue in cheek. We're talking about rumours about Rangers going for what do you call him? Modric. Look at Modric. We're kind of laughing about it, but the talk was, the biggest pot of money in world sport, this 49ers fund, the world's their oyster. We can go and look at Modric. I mean, look, fast forward 12 months and look at the signs that have come in. I mean, it's not look at Modric's level, that's for sure. I mean, the Rangers fans are watching that at the weekend, thinking, how can we be celebrating 12 months ago the richest bottomless pit in sport taking over, and end up watching this? I mean, this is not what's in the brochure. This is not what was came in. This is not what was promised. And listen, they have spent money, but not spent it wisely. I say it's early days for a lot of these guys, and they might come good. I think Sunday, the last week or so, it's been a bit of a shock to the system, I think, for a lot of people. And they're still 3 or 4, 5 short of where they need to be, I think, to be challenging at that level. I mean, we talk about Celtic. You can't judge them against anything but Celtic. They're the champions. The other team they need to try and knock off their perch. And Celtic, who are supposed to be a team in crisis, a team that's the worst Celtic team in 30 years and all that stuff, and yet man for man, they're still stronger than their nearest rivals, or their perceived nearest rivals. I mean, Hearts finished second last year, obviously. So they've got some major work to do. I think, Mick, to be fair to them, I think Yokota looks as if he might give them something. Early indications, it was, only seen him a couple of games, but in terms of what he offers, it's something very different from what they've got. I think that he looks really good technically. He looks fast. I think that will be a good addition. And Dreer seems to be a player of quality as well. And it's been a while now. Look, how many times have we said this? I think that there was a lot of excitement when Skov Olsen was signed in January, and he just didn't turn up for his work, did he? So you can't rush into making snap judgments on these guys. You thought that Skov Olsen had all the credentials to be a successful Rangers player, but was absolutely nowhere near it. But I think the early indications are they've probably upgraded well in those two wide areas. And, but again, that's we have to wait and see. We thought Ant-Man, I thought the profile of Ant-Man last year looked great. Yeah. He had one of the best debuts you'll ever clap your eyes on in your life. Looked like an absolute superstar for 45 minutes his debut, and never kicked a ball after that.
And then Russell Martin.
Yeah, but I think you're right. I think the two white boys do look as though they've got a wee bit about them. I mean, Dreich. We call him Dreich or Driok, or for headline purposes, we'll stick with Dreich. Anything but Dreich.
Mention his name,
but listen, he's obviously got PSV, so he's obviously got a bit of pedigree. I think he only played less than 1,000 minutes last season, but when he did play, his numbers were pretty impressive. So he has got a bit about him. You got to hope this is going to be the kickstart he needs to go and kick on. But it looks as though he could have something about him. They need to be. They'll need to be, because at the moment Rangers are very short in creativity. I still think middle of the park's a problem for them. They've got a lot of midfield players that are very similar. A lot of guys that run about all day without having a killer pass in their locker. So that needs to be addressed as well. I need to supply these wide men. These wide guys need the ball. And if the middle of the park is stodgy and slow and pedestrian and lacking a killer pass, these boys will be getting pulling their hair out if they don't get supplied. So
they look like they need a player that can control a midfield, run a midfield.
Yeah.
They've got energy, they've got defensive guys, but they're all of a similar sort of ilk. I think what they really need is somebody that can just walk into the middle of that pitch and dominate proceedings. In the way that Callum McGregor does for Celtic.
Yeah, but Celtic's midfield players have got that. Callum McGregor can do the dirty stuff, but he also can thread a ball 30 yards through the middle of the park. Exactly. He also knows when the ball's got to go forward. I think Rangers get too many midfield players that don't know when the ball's got to go forward, and they take the safe pass. And we talked about that all week. It's not. I mean, bravery isn't smashing at a tackle. Bravery is taking a deep breath and pinging a ball through a gap that might look a bit tight and coming off. That's bravery, and at the moment they're too safe. They need somebody with a bit of balls in there that can take chances and make the ball move forward quickly.
On Celtic, Mick, I know you touched on it when we started, but let me read a couple of these comments. Jungle Boy, seriously, is this Egyptian winger Hassan thumbing a lift from Spain? Because I've heard he's been coming all week. Rebel says you can grow a beard quicker than Celtic are signing players. The two that have come in have looked top class and proved there's a lot. And someone saying, Mick, in a recent article, you said Celtic were hoping to add at least one more before this qualifier. Is that still likely, or is that now off the table, do you think?
Well, it's the word. Was it the word that Celtic, when they do pop their head up, they say hope. They always hope. They hope to add one more. I think Hassan will be done and dusted, so that's one. I think they want to have one more in for next week. What's that, sorry?
Hassan's getting his medical today.
I think he's either tonight or tomorrow morning. I think he's on his way.
Right.
I think it might be finalising tomorrow morning, his medical stuff. I think that'll be one. And I think they've got until next week to add another 2 names to the squad, which is quite funny because Celtic adding 2 signings. They do 1 signing per month. So I don't think they need to worry about adding another 3 names to the squad by next week. On current trajectory, it might be by Champions League 29-30. They might have that in a few places. They don't do things quickly over at Parkhead unless they really have to. But yeah, I think they'll get at least one, and I think they'll try and sneak one in as well. But again, whoever they get in at that point isn't going to go straight in a starting lineup for next week. That's for sure. I think they need to hope they get through the weekend, not losing any players to transfers or injury, and then fingers crossed to get through the tie, which is no way to be really for a tie that's been in the books for months and months and months. It's not been hiding in the bushes and jumps out saying, by the way, you're playing the Champions League next week. I mean, it's not like a blind date. I mean, they really should have been a bit more prepared, but this is not how they roll. So they're going to have to go and hope the gamble pays off.
The other one in the comments that people have been asking about is the boy Torino, Gvidas Gineitis. I apologise if I've absolutely butchered that, but he's the midfielder. Gvidas, sorry.
Yeah. I don't think there's been anything concrete in that one. I think, again, it's the Engels and Bauer triangle. Interestingly, Red Bull Salzburg are in for him. I think they get knocked back today. A decent whack of money put in the table for him and knocked back. Looks like Torino want about £8 million plus. Although, in fact, no, they want the bids to start at £8 million plus. So, again, another one of these quality players that they think are going to get big bucks for, like Celtic are doing with Engels. So, that one, I don't see that one moving particularly quickly. But I say Salzburg have made their move for him. They might get back to it. I think it sounds like they're going to get back to the table again. The better offer. So Celtic are still in the conversation, still kind of linked, still at the back of the disco, keeping an eye on who they're asking for a wee dance, but not quite there yet. But we'll have to wait and see. I think Bauer's the one, obviously, they wanted and they've agreed personal terms. I think they might be hoping to sweat out Paderborn. It doesn't seem to be that much concrete interest elsewhere. So it might get to a point where they say, okay, we'll take the money and run. So that one I think is still alive as well. But there's a few irons in the fire.
In the comments, Stephen says the boy Casper they've got will score more than the entire Rangers front line, and I'm not joking. David says Celtic may not actually recruit, but you have to admit to get it right. And this one, I like. Chris says, what will happen first? Celtic make 3 signings, or Mick gets a bag for the clubs behind them?
No, they're not going back in the bag. They're the naughty clubs. They don't work. That's the ones that have been giving me all the grief. So that's my golfing naughty step until the ones I'm using now work. Exactly. I've got a half set in the back of the car now. That's the only ones that work.
I should say as well, you were talking about bravery there, Mick. A colleague of ours, Andy Newport's text me saying bravery is playing centre half and leaving the ball to Mick to come and take a cross.
Listen,
I thought I'd pass that on. I
tell you, there's nothing brave playing against Andy Newport up front. You can let him play all day. You couldn't hit a coup in the backside with a banjo.
Right, the other thing that I want to get your take on, guys, transfer news, but not anything to do with Celtic or Rangers or Scottish football at all. But
Dan, see before you do it, because we've not touched on Hugo Siquet.
Oh, my apologies. Sorry, well done, Keith. There's so many names, it's so hard to keep up.
Yeah, so my information is on that one that Rangers have made an initial offer, but it got rejected for the Bruges right back. One international cap with Belgium, by all accounts, a very good player. But I don't think Rangers received any sort of encouragement from Bruges. And I don't think that they believe that he remains a realistic target for them, regardless of what Rangers want to put on the table for that player. I don't think they think that Bruges have got any appetite for doing the deal. Which is ironic because, he's got a cracking name to be a Rangers signing, Siquet. That seems to be the case with most of them.
The other name I thought was interesting that's popped up this afternoon, I don't know if you boys know him or not, but is Ryan Oney, Sheffield United. I remember watching young Ryan. I think he was about 13 at the time. I think he played for Hamilton Accies. He actually played middle of the park for them. I think he was about 15. I'm joking on the side. I think he was about 15. Looked at a right prospect. He's been down south and he's been at Sheffield United. I think a loan spell last year at Lincoln. We scored a few goals. He's still not 20. As I saw him 5 years ago. He was only 15 at Accies. Big lump of a boy. But the scary thing is, and Keith, maybe not young Daniel, but we'll remember his old man, Armandoni, Thistle, Wraith Rovers, Livy, and I think there's a Stranraer times as well, down to lower league kind of legend. That's how old we are. It's the boys it's the guys' sons that are playing. Aye, it's but that's an interesting one. I mean, again, I don't think he's quite. I mean, as you say, 20-year-old kind of put up front. That would be. I don't know. I mean, he's played League One for Lincoln. The one for the future. That one. I don't think that'd be one for the here and now for Rangers. That's for sure.
But apparently, Sheffield United have got him tied up in a long-term contract, and I've got no intention of selling. I think, as I said to you at the start of the show, there's so many names getting chucked around now that does all feel a little bit panicky and knee-jerky. I don't think it would be wise for the Rangers recruitment department to lose a player that they think they could offload to Galatasaray for 22 million and replace him with a boy on loan for Sheffield United, irrespective of what prospect Ryan Oney might be.
No, he's one to watch for us, but for Scotland, I think. Jacko, he's a Club Brugge lad. So he's I know his dad was French. Our man is obviously French, but he was born and bred in Scotland. So he's one to keep an eye on. I mean, we're not getting many striking options. If there's a 20-year-old striker, a big lump of a boy, if he's doing all right the next 18 months, we should keep an eye on him. That's for sure.
Do they think they've written off his chances of getting a France cap?
Well, yeah, I think given the fact that there was 97 players at World Cup who qualified for France, they could have filled 3 squads apparently from French eligible players. So I think they're all right. Let us have at least one.
Yeah.
What I was going to say there was transfer news away from Scotland, Keith. Robbie Ewer, presented today as a Seville player, €8 million, I think it is. Incredible ascent in the last 2 months for him.
Staggering, isn't it? I mean, there's a boy that just couldn't get a look in at Rangers, had to go on his travels. I think the club that he was playing was in Sweden. He must have been pulling up some amount of trees up in Sweden for Sevilla to have kind of noticed him and then kind of fast-tracked him into this sort of calibre of signing. It's a decent amount of money. And again, we're talking about Scottish football, and we're desperately crying out for strikers. That was one of the big issues at the World Cup and before the World Cup, and it has been for a while. So if you were to get 2 or 3 of the younger guns that are coming through and making a name for themselves, well, whoever the next Scotland manager will be rubbing his hands at that, because it is desperately required. Kind of different options in the attack. So a proper striker would make such a difference, a proper goal-scoring striker. So for a boy like Robbie Ewer to go to La Liga, to a big club, if he can really hit the ground running in Spain and starts banging in goals for Sevilla, then I think you just fast-track him right into that next Scotland squad as quickly as you possibly can. That's quite an exciting one, actually, for the Scottish game in general. A really exciting one.
He's got to be in the next squad, Mick. He's got to be in the next squad, surely.
By the way, these two are going to be headline dream on your own. What else do you want? Front line of on your own. So that'll do for me.
Right, thanks for watching. This is the end of Hotline Live forever.
I told you the other day, Dan, I can't resist. It's in my nature, tabloid nature.
She needs to be in the next squad, but 15 goals, 15 games. I don't remember him being that highly rated at Rangers that you say, Keith, he was there. I don't remember people. I mean, he was obviously at Rangers, must have had something about him, but I don't remember people thinking he's going to be this kind of star that he could be.
I think that this one will have blindsided Rangers a little bit as well. And right now for Rangers, probably everything that can go wrong is going wrong. Even guys that they brought through their own academy that have now moved and becoming multi-million-pound strikers at Sevilla, when they've just kind of lost to injury their big hope in attack. There's so many things that Rangers have probably done wrong and mistakes that have been made along the way. Now, I don't think when Robbie Ewer was there that anybody really looked at him and said, that boy's ready for the step up. He looks like a Rangers number 9 in making. But there you go, there's another one slipped through the net for them. And that becomes even more frustrating for them, given that he was part of that academy. These are the guys that you're looking to try and get first team ready. I think he scored his first ever professional goal for Rangers against Queen of the South. And then he had to, I think they let his contract tick down. Did he not go to Belgium? Did he go to Anderlecht for a while?
Yeah.
sort of trying desperately hard to make his way in the game, and then all of a sudden, wallop, he's arrived in the league, and listen, he should be absolutely thrilled, and Scottish football should be thrilled that there's a potential here that this boy could cut the mustard over it.
Talk about hot streaks. I mean, he's got 11 goals last season for the Swedish team, but he's got 15 and 15 this year. I mean, it's not just a hot streak; it's absolutely lava. I mean, fair play to him. He's exploded into life, and I say that's like you say. This is good news for us because we're looking. I mean, 6 months ago, you're wondering about strikers and stuff like that, and now we've got a couple of guys that are coming through, and this is very, very positive.
In the comments, AGSC Tech says Scandinavian and SPFL and Scandinavian leagues should have a reciprocal youth exchange player exchange. I'm having a nightmare tonight, honestly. I'm not used to the transfer window. Smaller leagues need to fight back against the bigger geographies, especially the soulless EPL. Mark says fast track years 20. He's actually 22. The fact he's considered fast tracking says it all. And this final comment from me for the night is from Tommy, who says Mick is the friend teach out for a quiet pint, and you end up on shots by 10 and you wake up in a different country. Would you care to elaborate on that, Mick? Is that an accurate description?
How many years, Mick?
That sounds like somebody speaking for experience. I'm not sure. Listen, these days I'm in bed by 10. Don't worry about that. It's my shots by 10. These days I'm tucked up in my bed by 10.
Would you like to pass comment on that?
That was old, Mick. No relic sitting here.
That's why he's been known for some considerable time as Frank the Tank.
Past tense, Keith. Those are the old days.
I've experienced this up close and personal, and it does appear to me as if Tommy has some sort of insider knowledge on the whole.
Tommy, if you get any photographic evidence right in, we'll be sure to show it in tomorrow night's show.
Listen, the days I did that kind of behaviour, we didn't have camera phones, but I'll be all right. Black and white stills.
An artist's impression. Hands floor.
Yeah, a group photograph of the guy with the thing over his head and the gunpowder.
Brilliant. Right, well, look, I think that brings us to the end of Tuesday Night's Hotline Live, brought to you by NordVPN. Thanks again for all the comments, massively appreciate it, and we'll be back to do it all again at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Matt, Keith, it's always an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, I'm away for a lie down now.
Cheers, Mick.
Catch you later.
Thanks very much for watching at home. Cheers.